What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Hot Take. Today we are in a 1998 Eagle Talon TSI. It's the turbo all-wheel drive with a 5-speed manual. This is Andrew. Andrew, tell us a little bit about this car.
Yeah, so this is a Eagle Talon. It's built by DSM, formerly DSM. So it's the sister car to the Mitsubishi Eclipse, and they're pretty much the same car other than the front bumper, rear bumper, and like all the aero, and obviously the airbag with the Eagle logo on it. But other than that, it's pretty much an Eclipse.
Little American bits.
Yeah. And then, so as far as what I have done to this, I have Tane Flex Z coilovers. I have an HKS high power exhaust and an Apexi intake filter and a Greddy intercooler piping kit with a Greddy blow-off valve. And other than that, it is pretty much stock.
Well, there we go. Let's go ahead and take this thing on the road and see how she does. Ooh, okay. This thing feels very mechanical.
Yeah.
Okay, is that, or what's third?
Straight up.
Okay. The shifter is weird. I'm like not totally sure what gear I'm in because it's a lot different than what I'm used to.
Yeah. I'm sure I haven't driven many other front-wheel drive cable transmissions, but that's what this is.
Yeah. Oh, it's cables.
Yeah.
That might be why it kind of feels
So it's not like you're actually shifting gears like in a transmission.
Okay, that makes sense. My initial impressions over this patch of road here, it's pretty rough. You said you have coilovers on here?
Yeah.
Which coilovers are they again?
They're Tane Flex Z's. I'm pretty sure I have them on like almost the stiffest setting.
Okay, it's very firm over a lot of these bumps.
Yeah.
How was it stock?
Stock, it was a little bit better. I still felt like it was kind of a harsh ride.
Yeah, I would say this is definitely on the harsher side.
It's not very luxurious.
There we go. Very interesting. Handles good though. But other initial impressions, the gas pedal feels a little weird. Like it's almost like the 3000 GT. Like it almost has it feels kind of like dead until you kind of tap it a bit.
Yeah.
It has like slack in it. But I'm noticing it almost feels like the throttle is kind of like an on-off switch. Is that normal for these? Like when you get off the throttle, it kind of, I don't know, it's almost like jerky. Like you feel a lot of feedback.
I don't know because I've never driven another one, but I would sort of imagine so.
Yeah.
Comparing it to like other cars that I've driven that aren't DSMs, I think cars of the similar era sort of like, I think it is sort of like that.
Yeah. That was just something I noticed. The throttle's very touchy in that regard. Like if you get off, it's hard to kind of make a smoother transition. Oh, that was good. That's second. Okay. Good blow-off valve noise. This sounds like your quintessential tuner car. It sounds a lot like the new stuff.
Yeah.
They do Focus STs and everything. That's kind of interesting.
You know, this is a Talon, but the Eclipse was kind of like the poster tuner car of the
Right, yeah. I see why now. This is where all the modern tuner cars, like this is where they got their... This is where it all started. Oh, it steers really nicely. Kind of feel what you're talking about with the brakes. Or Econo box brakes. I didn't really get into them there. They're not terrible, but they don't have a strong initial bite.
Yeah, no, so because this is the front-wheel drive car, they have a single piston caliper. The all-wheel drive cars have two piston, still floating caliper.
Okay.
So they don't have like Brembos or whatever, you know, like those 4-piston calipers.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the brakes could be improved upon.
Get it a little more here. Oh, it's not terrible. Oh, that's where you feel the cable. Okay. it's hard to drive this car smoothly. The car, it wants you to go, 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 or stop.
Yeah.
You feel a bit of torque steer for sure. It's not awful, but you got when you give it the power, you got to be ready for the steering wheel to kind of pull you.
Yeah. I think the turbo comes on pretty quick too, which might sort of be
yeah.
a part of that.
I think the boost seems to come on like right at 3,500 or 4, and you got a high red line.
Yeah,
I mean, the tach goes to 9, but even like 6,000, 7,000.
Yeah.
It feels, for the gearing anyway, it feels like you have a lot of RPM to play with. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, I don't rev it out too often, but...
Yeah, well, you don't really have to. It's got a good mid-range.
Yeah.
It's half full. Oh, there you go. Yeah, 4,000, it starts to really build some boost.
Yeah, the boost gauge is the leftmost gauge.
Yeah, I noticed that. Is that accurate?
Yeah, there's no like numbers on it though, but it makes 12 psi, or at least it should, right?
Yeah.
Stock when it was new.
Right.
So there's no like numbers on that gauge, but when it goes all the way up, I guess it's 12.
Fair enough. Okay. I'm getting used to this car now.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. This thing's nice in the turns. The steering wheel's very communicative. The gas pedal's weird. Maybe it's just how the DSMs were. I don't know, I got a little bit of a gripe with the gas pedal, like the cable or something they used. It's, if you know where it is, like after I've been in this car for like 5 or so minutes, like you get used to it really quickly, but it's just weird. There's a lot of Euro stuff from this era, like Volkswagens, BMWs. It's very, I won't say touchy, but it's very direct. This, it almost feels like there's a little bit of slack.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad feel, especially compared to a modern car. Like there's still a lot there. So the shifter doesn't feel as communicative as something with a linkage, which like the 3000 GT, now that is a short shifter, so that's probably not that fair of a comparison, but that one felt really direct and notchy. This, it almost feels like you gotta kind of find the gear if you don't know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
I love that turbo noise. The intakes, that make a difference in the turbo noise?
Yeah, it did. It's essentially just like a cone filter that goes onto the end of the mat. So I don't know how much power it really picks up, but
Made it sound cooler?
When I initially put it on, it still had the stock blow valve, and even comparing it when it was all stock to when it was stock with the filter, it was much louder. And now with the Greddy, I'd say it's even more louder because it's a different blow-off valve.
Yeah, right. No, you hear the blow-off noise. It's nice, like whoosh. It's kind of nice.
For sure.
The exhaust too. So what is the exhaust on this? You said the brand, but like what is what? It's a single pipe.
Yeah, so it's an HKS high power. It's titanium, and it's I think it's a 2.5 inch, and it's essentially just a cat bag.
Right.
And then everything forward is stock.
There we go. You feel that torque steer. I'm still trying to figure out which way it's pulling me with a torque steer. I think it's right, but I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, it probably is. I remember one time in the rain, I floored it in first, and it almost pulled me into a curb.
Oh, wonderful.
So it probably is right.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it does have quite a bit of torque steer, because this was like really early turbo technology. I mean, this is a 98, but this is derived from a car almost 10 years older than it.
Yeah.
So it's very early in that turbo technology, and it's funny the amount of similarities there with the modern car, but a lot of the modern cars just kind of perfected it.
Yeah, I'm sure this probably inspired a lot of modern turbo 4-cylinder cars.
Right. Oop. Okay.
Install.
Oh. pulls you to the right. Definitely the right. Didn't stall it. Oh man, this thing is very touchy. You gotta. This car takes a little bit to get used to take off. That turbo, it just wants to like. It wants to pull you forward. It's a weird feeling. It's kind of cool though. I'm gonna get. Maybe that is just how old turbo technology is. It's just very like laggy, and you just gotta kind of like. You just gotta baby it until you kind of get used to it, and then you'll know how to take off. It almost feels like relearning manual again, which is not a good look. You make someone look really stupid in this car if you throw them the keys and don't tell them.
I've never had many other people drive this car, so.
Oh yeah, well I feel honored. This thing's cool. I like this a lot.
Yeah, I'm so used to it. Like this is the only car I drive, so everything's just pretty much normal to me.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, right. Yeah, you just like you live with it.
Yeah.
How bad is the wind noise in these things?
I don't find it's too bad.
Do you get a good exhaust noise when you?
You get more blow off valve. I noticed when the windows are down.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely get more blow off valve noise. Oh, come on, turn. Like all three of you turn. How about that? Think we can make that work? We can have that arranged.
Yeah, probably.
No, I'm in one. Oh. Okay.
There it goes.
That has a really cool sound in first gear. What is that?
It's probably just, I don't know, the short RPMs. Just like climbing the rev range.
It's like, whoa. You know what? I think the gearing's a big part of it. They might have did something in first gear in these. Oh man, it sounds a lot like it does in the Fast and Furious movies, which is kind of cool. You think a lot of those noises are fake, but these things just kind of feel a little bit janky, kind of.
Sure.
But like the turbo, like when I was trying to, I figured out why in that takeoff, why it's so hard to take off in this car. If you're not used to it, it's turbo lag. That's all it is. The boost starts to kind of build up. It builds up like as low as 2, but it just starts to come on like at 4.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to blip the throttle a little bit to kind of take off, it's really touchy. If you blip it too much, the tach just shoots up.
Yeah.
So you gotta be ready for that. Not bad. She's pretty quick.
Yeah.
We now finished driving the 1998 Eagle Talon TSI. Overall, it was a cool experience. It was a lot different from what I'm used to. It's very old school turbo technology, very Fast and Furious era, which sounds kind of like a cliche, but when you're driving it, it very much feels like the Fast and Furious cars. There's a fair amount of boost lag. Right at like 3,000 it starts to build really quickly, and it just kind of has almost like this feel to it. It sounds like the cars in Fast and Furious. It's weird, it's different. I like it a lot. The Eagle is also not something you see that often. It's pretty rare. I kind of like the front end on it. It's got a different face. Anything to add, Andrew?
No, I don't know. I have a YouTube channel as well. I make
yeah?
like nerdy DSM videos on it, but
there
if
you
you
go.
want to check it out, I'm sure you can link it if you want.
Yeah, link in the description. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, no.
Well,
but yeah, other than that, that's all I got.
All right, and with that, let's give it a score. Utility. The Eagle Talon has an okay amount of room for front seat passengers, but the rear seats are pretty hopeless. My back is at a 45-degree angle and my legs are up against the seat. If you don't have more than one passenger, the hatch area is large and the rear seats do fold down. Ride quality is pretty poor. This is one of the stiffest cars I've ever been in. In its defense, it has coilovers set to a stiffer setting, but even still, it gets 3.5 out of 10. Features. It has most of what any 90s car has. Good climate control, leather seats, rear wiper like its 3000 GT brother, and more. It has some 90s creaks, rattles, and the materials are a little lacking, but I've seen worse. It gets 3 out of 10. MPG, the EPA rates this car at 20 city, 29 highway for combined of 23, giving us a 6 out of 10. This totals our daily score to 12.5 out of 30. Moving on to the weekend categories, we have the cool factor. The Eagle Talon TSI is a bit of a forgotten car in comparison to its sister, the Eclipse, but this is the same car for the most part, and you do not see a lot of nice examples of either of them anymore. This car and the Eclipse solidified a generation of automotive enthusiasts, and you can see where a lot of the modern, and I quote, tuner cars took notes from. It really just brings you back to a different time period in cars, so I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Driver's feedback. The driver inputs were very mechanical, similar to the 3000 GT, but with more steering feel and a different shifter feel. More on that momentarily. I found the pedals to have a good response. The brake pedal wasn't anything to write home about, but it offered good modulation. The gas pedal felt connected, and you could feel a lot of the driveline movements when using the gas pedal. Almost a little too much for my taste, but that is relative. The shifter, while rubbery, is direct and easy to know where your gears are at. You lose some of the feel because of the cable compared to a more direct linkage setup, but I'll still give it a 5.5 out of 10. Acceleration. This car does 0 to 60 in a low 7-second range, giving it a 3 out of 10. This totals the weekend category to 14.5 out of 30. Now, everyone's favorite. Should you buy it? If you want to relive your 90s childhood tuner car fantasies or want a fast car, go for it. Admittedly, I had to look up a YouTube video and see how fast these things can really get. It's different from a lot of the modern cars because it's imperfect, but it is imperfect in a very likable way. There's a lot of reasons it's not really a good car, but that is really the truth with any old sports car. Parts are cheap for these, and outside of some of the trim pieces, they're pretty readily available. The aftermarket's also good. There's a lot of parts to make these go fast. And to top it all off, the entry price to one of these things is pretty low. They rarely sell for more than 10 grand, and 15 is close to the top for any given one. I'll give it a 10 out of 15, putting it here on our list. It scores pretty well for an old sports car, but it deserves the spot. Our closest comparison is the 3000 GT. The 3000 GT is more comfortable and mature, whereas the Eagle Talon is more of a bucket and lively. The Eagle Talon TSI and Eclipse were a staple car in the tuner scene. If you want a fun, entry-level tuner car and something different from the more modern stuff, it will not disappoint.